The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys!
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Nikki Spagnola.
And it is a Monday at 11 a.m. inside the SWBC podcast studio, and that can mean only one thing. Somehow, some way, for the first time in how long? We're all in the studio together. How'd that happen?
Oh, wow.
It's been a while.
It has been.
Sometimes life gets in the way.
It does.
Usually I have to fall on the sword in that regard, but I'm not alone. I am not alone.
That's
We've all
right.
taken our turns.
Have I taken a turn? I think I've been.
Yes, you took a turn.
Yeah, I think you
Okay,
did.
all right. Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and the star of the show, Mickey Spagnola. And
Live and in person.
is this ever a big moment in time? We are, what's the date today? April 17th?
17th. Did
17th.
you,
10 days away from the start of the NFL draft.
No, more importantly, so you're here for the draft. Did you pay your taxes?
Oh, yeah.
Did you file your taxes?
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't.
Today's-
I didn't. My wife
didn't
did.
Today is the deadline.
My wife sent that to somebody else who did it. And, yeah. Oh, sounds like Mickey has other things on his mind today.
No, I just knew that, that's to make sure you didn't get in
Is
trouble.
it today or tomorrow?
Today, the 17th.
I thought it was like, okay.
The 18th?
I thought they changed it.
I thought they did too. But
It's usually
I
the
think they changed
15th.
it back. I
except
think they
it was
changed
the
it back.
weekend.
just make sure you get it done today, just
Yeah.
in case.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, the draft 10 days away. It's kind of been the calm before the storm here, but most importantly, there are football players on the premises
saw that.
officially
Yes.
here. Yes, the alarm has gone off. It's the start of the 2023 offseason for your Dallas Cowboys.
And there were
Thank you,
guys
Bill.
working out.
Thanks for covering for me, Bill. I appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah.
I saw football players on a football field as I walked
They
in
had
there.
about 20, 30 guys out there today.
Really?
Well, who are they? Unrecognizable people?
These are
Well, they didn't have their jerseys on, so
these are
Come on, Mr. Spags.
these aren't
Like he
tryout
need-
guys.
Like he needs jerseys
That's
to
right.
identify people.
That's
Come
right.
on.
These aren't tryout guys. These aren't guys coming in for workout, free agents or whatever. These are guys on the 53-man roster during the season. These are guys on the what is a growing roster, getting up to 90, which
Right.
we'll have after the draft and so forth. And it's time to get to work. Of course, the rest of the league who changed head coaches, they could start their offseason programs a week ago. Well, this is the start today for
I'm
the
still
Cowboys and everybody else
weird on the numbers. 90?
for the offseason.
That's a lot.
how
It
many
just
did you
lets you
have?
know how-
You probably had 120.
I know. That's what's crazy. Because 90 is a big number.
Yeah.
It is.
And to
That's
have
how you
one-
get through these preseason games, though.
Now, that was 90 for the entire team.
Yeah.
We had 125 rookies.
Reporting like July 4th to Thousand Oaks.
For 2 weeks,
Rookies
right?
For 2 weeks, so
alone.
rookie
That's
camp
rookies
before
alone.
training camp.
Golly, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Those were the odds that were stacked against.
And we don't have-
Everson Walls out of Grambling State University in 1981.
Just
as he
call me
reported
Austin
to
Reeves, baby.
Thousand Oaks, California.
Call me Austin Reeves,
Austin
baby.
Reeves, the former Oklahoma Sooner who leads
That's
the
right.
Lakers to a win.
I'm that guy. I'm him. That's what it is.
Defying the odds.
Were you giddy too?
I wasn't giddy. No, I was geeked, but not giddy.
No, giddy.
Giddy is, yeah.
Australian guy that.
The Thunder?
Oh, you mean the person giddy? Okay, come on, you gotta clarify that.
I thought you were
said
saying,
Reeves. I said giddy.
I thought you were saying
I'd never heard of the guy, and he scored 31 points.
I saw him score 40 in a game at TCU in college.
Really?
Yep.
See, you're late to the party,
Yeah.
man. when it
Well,
comes to
I don't
basketball.
watch
Well, you don't watch basketball.
NBA
I know.
And we don't want to talk about NBA
No,
right now
right,
either.
not
There's
right
more
now.
important things to talk about. You want to start with the breaking news of the morning?
No, I don't want to talk about that either.
You can't identify what 255 million.
255. I am proud of him though. Texas kid, you know, the way I've always talked about how I really admired how Jalen changed his game coming out of college.
And we should say, for those who haven't heard, Jalen Hurts has agreed to a contract extension which will make him the highest paid player in National Football League history. 5 years, $255 million, $189 million in guarantees, and a no-trade clause. Go ahead, Everson.
Man, I'm just saying, proud of him, the way he changed his game, the way he adapted on every level. You know, when he left Alabama, they won the championships, but he was not that guy. Then he goes to Oklahoma.
He wasn't that guy.
But he was a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Right.
And that means that he was able to adapt once again. He went from being an all-running quarterback to a very decent, more than decent quarterback. Took his struggles into the into the NFL. And
as a second-round draft pick.
After a few years, he actually became a Super Bowl quarterback.
It is a lesson to so many out there today who are diving into that transfer portal at the earliest sign of problems at whatever school you're at. For these freshmen who report to college and then they're not getting playing time or whatever. Well, here's a guy who is at Alabama who earned the starting quarterback position and then in the middle of a national championship game had it taken away from him. And he doesn't get upset and leave school and go transfer someplace else. He stayed, and while Tua was the starting quarterback, he was actually needed late in that next season in the SEC championship game, comes off the bench and helps his team. And then he graduates from college. And then at that point, even with the approval or the I don't know if it's recommendation so much, but with the graces of Nick Saban, who actually helped him find a landing spot, he transfers to Oklahoma as a graduate.
Yes.
And then for a year there. And then he gets into the NFL, and he's a second-round draft pick.
Who was his coach at Oklahoma?
Lincoln Riley. And that's where he ran the ball more than he passed the ball. And as you said, he had a nice season at Oklahoma, and then he goes into the NFL, and people were saying, oh, no, he's a running quarterback. He can't. But through it all, he showed great leadership. Not only at Alabama, but also in his 1 year at Oklahoma. He was unquestionably the leader of that team, much like the quarterback we have here in Dak Prescott. He goes to Philadelphia as a backup, and everyone just clamored to him. You know, his teammates.
And the organization, they really seem to like him as a leader.
And you know why? Because of his work ethic. And he was a nose to the grindstone guy, just like Dak Prescott here.
Yes.
The guy that you want to have your face of your organization.
And they really put all of the talent around him that they could find.
And that's the good news for the Cowboys.
That's right.
Is now they're having to pay their quarterback and take up that. This is why this is good news for the Cowboys.
It already took place this year.
Yeah, this offseason.
Everybody
last year they were able to make the moves they made in free agency because they weren't paying their quarterback.
That's right.
Well, now they're paying their quarterback.
And understand this is an extension.
Yes.
Because he's still on the last year of his rookie contract now.
Is it like a Deshaun Watson type of contract in regards to he's not into the extension yet?
Right. The base salaries.
Yes.
His base salary for 2023 is still there, but they can put some of the signing bonus into this year. You know what? I think he's a poster boy for showing the value of not leaving college early to go into the NFL and get all the snaps available in college.
The Lincoln Riley situation was great for him.
And then
that changed his whole game.
And then for everybody else out there, don't judge a quarterback after 1 year or 2 years. Sometimes it takes a while to develop. If you stick
with them, you got to stick with them.
But no, when you take one in the first round, if he doesn't play well, I'll clean it up. The first year, it's like, okay, this guy can't play.
Yeah.
Right? They just write him off. Well, sometimes
Sit him
it
on the bench,
takes
give
a
him a clipboard.
while to develop. And teams force guys to play because of the money they spend on them. And it shouldn't affect it anymore, because if you're a rookie on a rookie contract, you're not making $255 million, right?
How long did it take for him to break into the starting lineup?
Well, he started somewhat his second year. This was really his first full season.
That's true.
Am I right? Third year?
Last year
this was his second year.
2 years ago.
This was his second year as a full-time starter. His rookie year in 2020, he played in 15 games. He started 4 games at the end of the season and had a 1-3 record as a starting quarterback. And then in 2021, he started 15 games. They went 8-7. He take it back to his rookie year. He only completed 52% of his passes, had 4 picks and 6 touchdowns. And I don't have his rushing stats in front of me. But, all right, so then the next year, they go 8-7 with him as the starting quarterback in his 15 starts, 61% completion percentage, 9 picks, 16 touchdowns. And then this year, Pro Bowl season, near MVP season, they went 14-1 when he was a starter in 15 games, and 6 picks, 22 touchdowns,
and a very good Super Bowl game. He didn't. He didn't go in, and the moment was never too big for him, except for the one mistake that he made.
And he had 784 yards rushing in 2021, 760 and 13 touchdowns in 2022.
So it was kind of a gradual progression for him.
But even go back to college, and to your point on when we look at these quarterbacks coming into the draft this year and the need for them to play immediately or take a year, learn the NFL, so forth, you go back to his college days, and he was a starter at Alabama in 2016 and 2017. And that was the year where then Tua took over in the national championship game and they won. 2018, he's the backup. Okay, and came in as needed late in the year, and then transferred to Oklahoma in 2019.
It was invaluable for Alabama when he came in for the conference championship.
So he had over 1,000 pass attempts in college.
And by the way, Everson, not only $255 million over 5 years.
Yes, sir.
Another $15 million in incentives he can earn.
Wow! What, you need incentives with that?
Yeah. Well, playoff.
I understand.
Production,
team,
right? Team stuff. So it ends up being an average of, if my math's correct, $51 million a year.
Okay, so where's Dak in his contract right now? He's halfway through the 4 years.
This will be his third season of 4.
What if Dak? Okay, so Jalen has 1 year left on his contract and gets this deal. Okay, what if Dak puts together the same kind of season this year that Jalen put together last year? What does that do for Dak Prescott next year at this time?
He's asking for $270 million.
Just give me more than Jalen.
That's the carrot out there for Dak Prescott and your Dallas Cowboys.
Don't think that alert came across when it came across his phone this morning.
Quarterbacks all across the league had an extra bounce in their step as they
saw him
reported
out
for
there pulling the
off-season.
sled, right?
Well, he has his own turf now at the house.
Oh, he's had it.
Yes.
Yeah. And he's been throwing. Mm-hmm. One of the wide receivers said he'd been working out with him out in his backyard. I can't remember. It pointed out. But anyway, he's been throwing to guys. Yeah. So, but that's the market. And, again, they couldn't re-sign all their defensive linemen, right? Linebackers, Philadelphia had to let some guys go.
Mm-hmm.
And the market
Hargrave is gone to the enemy.
Right.
To the 49ers.
That's right. The market for quarterbacks, when they sign this contract, it's like when you buy a car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, the value of that contract goes down.
True.
The value of that car goes down. Well, Jalen's he's going to sign that contract. He's going to drive out of the parking lot, and the value of that contract is going down because the next one that comes along, What do you think Lamar Jackson's thinking
I
about?
was just going to say, Lamar Jackson right now is going crazy. And I'm sure the Ravens aren't feeling
He's
too.
already been going crazy, right?
I'm sure that puts a lot of pressure, not just on Lamar, but the Ravens themselves. I mean, you see everyone's getting their quarterback signed.
So now Deshaun, his was fully guaranteed, the whole thing.
Yes.
At 240, what was it?
I believe it was 240.
So if the Ravens offered Lamar Jackson this deal, 5 years, 255, 189 guaranteed, would Lamar Jackson take it?
He's already been offered something similar to that. Am I right? And he turned it down.
He wanted to be the highest paid.
Okay, so this would
Now the highest paid just went up.
Yeah, but the guaranteed money
Right.
is Deshaun Watson has more guaranteed money
Right.
than Jalen Hurts.
Hurts got 179, 126 and a half guaranteed at signing.
Yeah.
All right, we got a crowd. When you looked up, I said, "Oh, Nate's showing up."
No, we wish. I hadn't heard
No,
from Nate in a
he
while,
threatened.
man.
He threatened to show up.
He should, man. I miss Nate.
So what does Nate want to talk about?
He wanted to talk about the Cowboys not drafting a running back in the first round.
Oh,
He's
maybe
happy
we'll
with
have to.
that.
Well, maybe we'll have
He
to
would be
get
happy
into
with
that
that?
coming
Yeah.
up here.
Okay.
Because he thinks if they take care of the guard position and the tight end position, that would take care of the running back position.
Spoken like a true offensive
Yeah,
lineman.
and we had like a half-hour discussion. I went into Nick's office to talk to him, but I didn't close the door. A half hour later, I walked out, and everybody's like, "Well, that was a show. We should have recorded it because we didn't agree, right?"
So what day was this?
Friday.
Oh, man.
Because I got a call from
Friday or Thursday? I can't.
I got a
remember
call
which.
from Nate.
Was it Friday?
I can't remember what day it was, but I bet.
No, it was Thursday because no one was here Friday.
I bet it was after your conversation.
I think it was before.
Oh, maybe it was. Did he? Oh, I helped give him ammunition for
Oh,
his debate with you. Oh,
No,
that's funny.
because he had called me and I didn't call him back till later, and he said, "Oh, I already talked to Bill."
Okay,
And,
all right.
And then you must have reinforced his
position.
resolve.
Well, we don't have time to wait on Nate. We're going to have
we'll
to do
talk
that
about it
ourselves
right
because
now.
we just have this show and next Monday's show, and then it's draft time the
Right.
following Thursday. So we got a lot to get into here. How about we take a break and we come back? We want to talk run game? We
Yes.
want to talk this team's run game when we come back here on Mick Shots.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh, she's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do you call a group of grown men and women with their faces painted silver and blue who get together every week to share a 3-hour-long ritual of jumping, singing, and toasting Miller Lite in 10-gallon hats while yelling, "How about them Cowboys?" You call it Miller Time in Dallas. Here's to the Cowboys. Here's to the original light beer. It's Miller Time. Celebrate responsibly. 2021 Miller Brewing Company, Fort Worth, Texas.
Back to Mick Shots.
Cape Post Roofing and Waterproofing, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. From corporate homes to your home, have your roof checked by choice, not by chance. Call now, 214-225-4860, capepostcompany.com.
Okay, so here we are talking run game. This ought to be very interesting. In fact, I've spent a lot of time here in the last few days just trying to figure out what the Cowboys need to do as to improve their run game. And to the point then last night late and then this morning, I went back and just tried to did a refresher course, tried to refresh my memory on exactly what was going on with the run game in the late in the season and in the postseason, and to refresh everybody's memory on it. The Cowboys' run game was doing all right last year until December. And then December and January, whether it was Ezekiel Elliott or Tony Pollard, they weren't getting much in the run game. And in fact, if you look after the Terence Steele injury,
I was going to say that's why,
which was right before halftime of the Houston game,
December 11th.
And that was they had 4 more regular season games after that. After that point in the season, I did the math on it, Ezekiel Elliott averaged 2.7 yards per carry the rest of the regular season, and it didn't get any better in the playoffs. And Tony Pollard averaged 2.95 yards per carry the last 4 games of the season.
And probably only because he busted a long one to stretch a 2.2 average out.
And so there was clearly an issue that the Cowboys were having with the run game.
You could clearly see, I recall, when Steele went down, somehow our tackles, our runs for losses increased big time. We had a lot of negative plays when he went down.
Well, 2 things happened. I don't know if you could tell. Number one, when Steele went down, so they put Tyron Smith there.
Well, immediately they put Josh Ball there because Tyron wasn't active yet. It was the next week. Yeah.
Tyron Smith hadn't played a down of football since August. It was a week and a half before the start of the season. And now all of a sudden he's got to go play, and a position he hadn't played since 2012. He was okay, right? He wasn't great.
No.
But he wasn't bad. No.
But it wasn't what Terence Steele was giving them in the run game, I think.
And if you just any proof of that, just listen to anything Zach Martin has said about Terence Steele and the run game in the last year and a half. And he has nothing. I mean, he basically was quoted midseason last year as saying he's never played next to a guy who's better in the blocking in the run game than Terence Steele.
It made his game a lot easier as well.
That's right.
Yeah, giving him props.
And then, if you remember, and it stretched over 2 games, when Yardage got hurt in the game, and then they had to move the guard, the center, the tackle to guard, and somebody else had to play tackle who was 40 years old. And then he missed the game, and it just.
Would you recall who they started, the starting 5 up front in the Tampa Bay game in the playoffs?
So they started with Jason Peters.
Jason Peters played left tackle. Tyler Smith at left guard. Yardage was at center. Zach Martin and Tyron Smith. And they played a lot of Connor McGovern at fullback or as a third tight end.
Which I thought that was the most valuable part of all that, right? Because I kept seeing people pointing out in the offseason, the Cowboys lost Jason Peters. It's like, okay, he was okay.
Well, and then for the San Francisco game, they had lost Jason Peters in the Tampa game.
Right.
And so then McGovern had to go back to left guard, so Tyler Smith is at left tackle. And so that the fullback,
they lost that
tight end.
Yes.
They were using
McEwen, right?
Avion Collins came as that in their.
And McGovern was starting.
McGovern was starting to left guard.
Yeah.
So that's how they were tricking it up. And that was the thing. When I went back and looked at the 2 playoff games, They were tricking it up just trying to run the ball, just to get anything going. So many 3 tight end formations. I mean, they were into a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 situation, and they had to run trick plays just to get a yard. The problem was not Ezekiel Elliott, or obviously Tony Pollard had a great year. But the problem was not the running backs. The problem was something else. And I'm not sure that it was necessarily just the offensive line. I think part of it, too, is this team was not threatening the opponents in the passing game to where Tampa Bay and San Francisco were able to load up to stop the run, especially in obvious run situations.
Well, that's always been the way they've defeated the Cowboys. Any opposition that goes into it with a particular game plan, it was always, let's see if Dak can beat us. That's always been the case. And really, if you're looking at, except for some exceptional quarterbacks, if you're looking at beating any team, that's what you want to stop first. You want to make sure they cannot run the ball on you first. We're looking at our Cowboys wide receivers. As much as we love them, they're all people that we are endured with over the season. We know eventually it came out of the fog. We only have one number 1 wide receiver. When you look at our number 2 receiver, injured a lot, coming off an injury, ACL. Yep. Wasn't really ready to make the moves that need to be made. We asked him to run routes that really weren't helping based on the surgery that he just had. Had piecemealing a lot of different wide receivers in there. I would have taken that approach as well. How well can these receivers help our quarterback based on their lack of experience?
The other part of it is when you go back to last offseason is you signed James Washington, and James Washington didn't pan out. He got hurt in the early part of training camp, and so he was coming off an injury too. You had traded Amari Cooper away, and so there was the obvious need there.
There was a void.
You had a 3rd-round draft pick, Jalen Tolbert, who needed more than he wasn't able to step in and contribute his rookie year. We'll see where he is now going into his 2nd year, but there was that void that they had, and they tried to. Once they saw that James Washington didn't have what he needed, then they finally got T.Y. Hilton in here, and it was too late.
And in the playoff games, I just looked, 2 games, he had 3 catches. So,
but you can't. I mean, you really can't expect.
No,
much
I'm
from
saying,
T.Y.
but that was your 3rd guy behind the 2nd guy who still wasn't himself.
And you're just saying that's what we had to deal with in a passing situation,
right? And that all contributed to what was going on in the run game late in the season too.
But to me, you started in the beginning. Our offensive line, if they are stable, and it's always been like that around here, especially since that culture changed. Our offensive line has always been the strength of this team. And we have depth, but was that depth good enough to keep us going strong? And it just was not.
So going forward, they've got 2 questions on that offensive line that need answers. Number 1, is Terence Steele ready to start the season? Because he had the surgery December 13th. Mm-hmm. So do the math. If it takes you 7 months to recover, we're talking end of July, right? Training camp's already started. Mm-hmm. If it takes 9 months, we're talking the end of September.
Right.
So what happens at that right tackle spot? And then number 2, how do they judge what Tyron Smith can give them? Is he a swing tackle? But
I'd rather he not be at this age.
All right. So is he the starting left tackle?
I say yes.
If Terence Steele's ready to go at right tackle. Mm-hmm. But if he's not, is he the starting right tackle?
Yeah, the easiest part of this would be Terence Steele coming back in time.
Right.
But
there's no guarantee, and even best case scenario, he's going to be right up again, pushing the start of the regular season.
Like you said,
I think
even when he comes back, you still have to
get into it, right? You got to practice.
Right.
And you lost Connor McGovern in free agency, so you have a hole at left guard.
Right. Now, if everything was equal and Terence Steele's ready to go, and you think Tyron Smith's got another year on him, then he could be your left tackle. Mm-hmm. Tyler Smith can move in to left guard. You got Biotish and Martin, right? But they won't know that. Now, I think everybody got carried away when I think Stephen Jones, I think it was at the Combine, said that Terence Steele was ahead of schedule. Okay, what's ahead of schedule?
Right.
I mean, you still got to go out and practice and be ready to start. So even if it's 8 months, we can start, okay, had the surgery the middle of December, let's start January. 8 months means the end of August. And does that mean that's when he gets to start practicing again? So I think that has to be resolved, and then you got to figure out where the rest of it is. Now, you signed
Chuma Edoga,
but he's never been – they signed him to a 1-year veteran exception contract, which tells me he's a stopgap measure.
The
just
idea
in case.
would be he's probably going to be a backup.
Yeah.
And he's in his career, he was a third-round draft pick out of USC in 2019 by the Jets. Started 8 games his rookie year, and then after that started 4 games, and then no games in 2021, and was picked up by Atlanta last year in 2 games, 1 start. In his career, 26 games, 13 starts. So he's not.
You're not going to sink your teeth in.
And he was playing tackle, not guard.
Right.
So then you can't really use him the way you use McGovern? Can you use him as the fullback? Does he have that kind of ability?
That part I don't know how athletic he is.
Because you're going to have somebody do that.
But why do we have to have an offensive lineman do that?
Yeah.
That's what they've been doing.
Look at San Francisco. They got Juszczyk at fullback. They've used their tight ends in the blocking game.
He is a lineman.
Yeah, that's right. I mean,
but he's big as a lineman. He's not a fullback.
No, the Ravens guy is the one.
You just can't. They're just so hard to find because the college game doesn't use a fullback.
I got your answer.
You got one.
Get that Georgia tight end in here, and you're going to help your run game immensely.
Okay.
Darnell Washington.
Do I have to take him in the first round?
Yes, because he ain't getting out of the first round.
So he's an athlete.
Oh, I love him.
As long as he's.
But anyway,
that's the best athlete.
We don't need to get off on that right now. But I'm just sitting there.
No, that's part of the equation.
It is part of the equation, and I'm sitting there watching those playoff games last year and how they were having to trick it up in the run game and everything, using offensive guards as fullbacks and third tight ends. Well, just make your starting tight end Darnell Washington, and then you can have you can go 11 personnel and still be able to run the football with an extra offensive lineman there.
Well, I'm sure he's not the only tight end that we can do that with coming out of the draft, because tight ends.
He's got the ability to catch the ball too.
But
now,
tight ends are studs these days.
They are, but
coming out of college,
you got to watch him.
So
you need to watch this guy.
The Cowboys' history on first round tight ends stops at 2.
Yeah, I don't look at him just as a tight end.
Okay. And I don't look as the 26th pick as a first-round pick. It might as well be a second.
That's right.
You're in 5 picks, you're in the second
round. When they're putting that draft board together.
Can we take a guard?
Can I take one in the second round?
Took one last year.
Second round?
How low was it, though? How low was it?
24 last year.
See?
But he was a tackle.
Yeah, he was a tackle.
Okay, y'all stop.
Tyler
so
Smith.
can they find a tackle that can play guard?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll keep letting you get that last word.
I will.
I'm not.
And the other thing that's happened is Mike Solari is now your offensive line coach.
Right.
Mike Solari.
Yeah. Who was an assistant
special teams coach.
And an assistant offensive line coach when Everson was a Cowboy.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh, man.
So the last time they took a tight end in the first round was David LaFleur. They have used second round.
He was huge.
And he wasn't as bad as people make him out to be, and he hurt his back, and he never was the same. Because I saw somebody did the Cowboys' 5 worst draft picks, and they picked LaFleur, and he got hurt. Shante Carver and Taco Charlton never were hurt.
So Taco made the list?
Oh, yeah. So did Shante Carver, right? And also, the linebacker. the son of the running back from
Bobby Carpenter.
Bobby Carpenter.
Okay, now
Never
let's
mind.
Don't get off track. Okay,
but
rabbit hole.
Billy Joe Dupree was the other first one.
That was a great one.
Yeah, that's damn.
That
good.
was a great one. Okay, so we've talked about the problems with the run game, whatever. Okay, how do you fix it?
Well, they didn't help it by. I mean, they helped the salary cap by letting Zeke go.
Yeah,
but it didn't help the running game. So they need another running back.
Right.
Now, I don't
it's
know that
clear that they're going to draft a running back at some point.
Right, the first or second day.
Now, I had Clarence Hill on my show last night on CBS 11, and I knew, he being a Texas Longhorn, I knew that and I believe he's also the agent for Bijan Robinson. And I knew we were going to get. Okay,
every time I see Twitter, he is.
We are going to get everything about Bijan Robinson on this show, and he delivered last night to the point that we started the show by basically fitting Bijan Robinson for his gold jacket. Okay. I think those words even came out of his mouth, something about a gold jacket. And so Bijan Robinson, in Clarence Hill's estimation, might be the greatest running back in the history of football ever to be drafted.
Better than Earl Campbell.
Yeah. So if that's the case, then he's not going to be there at number 26.
Right.
But apparently people are thinking that they've devalued running backs to the point that the greatest running back of all time might still be there at 26.
I doubt. I mean, I've been money. No, I won't say that here.
So here's my deal at 26. I don't have to have a running back, but who gives me the most juice? Like, who's the best athlete? I went through it for Friday, and it's like, as you know, everybody criticizes this team, but they don't have many walk-in starter spots available
on this team.
If you think about it, go.
Where are they right now? What are the walk-in starters? And I look at running back as being a tandem.
Right, I do too. Yeah. So there's a spot there.
There's a spot at running back. There's a spot at tight end.
Quarterback. There's a spot at tight end, but I can get by with the two guys I got, but I need one.
There's a spot you could use a walk-in starter at left guard.
I can use an offensive lineman somehow, ways. Defensive end, you're going to have to be pretty good to overtake. You know,
but they use a rotation there.
Yeah,
so a guy can.
But he's going to have to jump like Sam Williams or Dorrance Armstrong.
Yeah.
How about linebacker?
I say linebacker.
I say linebacker. There is a spot depending on what you do with
the youngsters.
Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're not.
Well, look at this last year. You got Anthony Barr started 10 games and had over 600 snaps, and that has not been replaced.
You've got Damone Clark, but he's not what Anthony Barr was.
Plus the injury issues at linebacker. You
could have Parsons, Van Der Esch, and Damone Clark. Mm-hmm. I could play that one.
Yes.
Okay.
But you can if there is a linebacker that you want to take, even at 26,
I would take him.
There's a spot. There's a playing role for him.
Mm-hmm. A role.
Yes.
Yes.
Where he could actually start half the games.
Yes.
Okay.
Depending on what.
I agree.
Cornerback. Well, Gilmore. Diggs.
Replaced Anthony Brown.
Right. Now, what do you do at the slot? Is Jordan Lewis good to go, but he's on a one-year deal?
And Trayvon's on a one-year deal, and Gilmore's got 2 left.
One.
Okay. Yeah, but just
but the wide
regardless, you can do cornerback.
Year, just because of this year, though, this coming year.
Yeah, Deron Bland, Jordan Lewis. So if I get a corner, he's going to have to beat out one of those two guys.
I wouldn't take a corner.
So you wouldn't take a corner? I would not take a corner. Not in the first.
I would take a linebacker.
And then safety, you're not doing that.
Nope.
I think the Cowboys in their history have only taken one safety after Mel Renfro.
Plus, we're good there.
Yeah.
We're good there, regardless of if someone's available. You
got 4 guys to pick from.
Yes.
So if you look at the amount of walk-in day one starting positions, They don't have that many. So to me, when you get to 26th, it doesn't matter the position. I can't go into this draft and saying I need a guard or I need a tight end. I need that player that's awfully good. And I've got linebacker, I've got running back. Tight end, maybe, I mean, who knows? Wide receiver, I don't know.
Yes.
I just need some juice.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if there's a wide receiver, yes. I mean,
you got three guys you can play with, but
if he's good enough, he's going to play.
Right.
And
he better be really good.
Well, there's a
someone
spot.
that can come in and start.
Yeah.
For us.
Michael Gallup's got to return to being Michael Gallup.
I'm not thinking about Michael. We just signed Brandon. What about him?
Oh no, I'm good with Cooks.
Yeah, right.
And I'm good with
CD, who's
but
of course.
Bill made a point before he started the show. They haven't replaced the pass catching ability of Amari Cooper. If there's one of those,
well, Brandon Cooks is the guy right now
that has to be that guy.
That's the way I see it,
right.
and that's why I say we don't.
But you're not, in regards to the draft, you're not drafting just for this year.
That's right.
You've
That
got
was
to look at
point.
where is your roster next year, the year after, and especially in the first round, you're looking at 5 years. And for instance, get back to the running backs. I think, and this is some people might think this is a crazy thought, but I sat there and I looked at Ezekiel Elliott last year, looking at video of him. I went back and looked at him coming out of the draft. Man, Ezekiel Elliott at Ohio State was unbelievable. The power with which he ran the football and the speed and everything. I mean, there's a reason he was the 4th pick in the draft. And I was not going to get into this with Clarence last night on the show. I just wanted to let him be his Bijan guy, whatever. And I love everything about Bijan as far as his makeup and all that. Ezekiel Elliott. If Ezekiel Elliott in 2016, if Bijan was in the same draft, I'd take Ezekiel Elliott. And I went back and looked at him last year, and I think for this year, Zeke Elliott would be more productive on this team than anybody in that draft.
I want him back.
So
I'm not going to lie.
Here's the bottom line on him. If his base salary was $5 million, he'd be here. They based the whole thing on 10.9.
Of course they did.
Right?
Everyone.
And they say they didn't want to insult him with a low offer. As Michael Irvin taught me once, guys will take a pay cut in someone else's locker room, but not their own. Right? But you're right on Zeke. And I still think if you get through the draft and you're in May and you didn't get the running back you wanted, $3 million.
I want that guy.
I would be constantly on the phone with him if I'm management saying, hey, you stay in shape.
And I don't care.
Because you never know what's going to happen after this draft.
I don't care that Zeke's not a home run threat. That's not what he is. That's not what Emmett was. I want the guy who can push a pile. I want the guy who, against San Francisco in the playoff game, they were tricking it up, trying to figure out how we're going to get this 1 yard, and they line up Zeke right up next to the offense, right up behind the right guard, and they got Pollard in the backfield, and they're doing all this deception. They hand the ball to Zeke, and it's a run blitz, and he gets hit in the backfield, 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and somehow, some way, Zeke Elliott is able to lunge forward and get the first down.
I remember that.
All I know is
I'm like,
you've got to
and they want to get rid of this guy.
You got to replace his 12 touchdowns. 7 of which were 1-yard runs. We pointed that out. Also, he was 12 of 14 on 3rd and 1. You got to have that, right?
We don't have that now.
And he wasn't lumbering. I get tired of hearing 3.8 yards a carry, all right?
Yep.
It's what they asked him to do, he did.
And by the way, before the Terence Steele injury, he was averaging 4.3 yards per carry.
Right.
Which is right near his career average of 4.4, which is what Emmett averaged in his career.
So, and let me also point out on this running back thing, you said this draft is not all about this year. You got to worry about 2024, right? who's your running back in 2024? Because you didn't want to extend Tony Pollard. You gave him the franchise tag, right? Well, are you going to sign him to a long-term deal after this year, or do you need another running back?
That is why, how about this hot sports opinion? That is why if you were able to sign Zeke right now at something that fits in your salary cap, I would do that, and I would take a running back at number 26. If Bijan Robinson was at number 26, I'd take him. And even if I add Zeke on this roster.
Well, see,
because of not only what he could do this year, but he's going to be your lead dog maybe next year.
Guys, we have seen running backs come from nowhere on some very good teams. And no one talked about them before the draft. Every year there's a running back that we never heard of with a team that's getting off, and we never talked about him before the draft. There are still going to be some running backs out there that will fit what the Cowboys are trying to do. But to me, I think if you already have that guy, meaning Ezekiel Elliott, I would hope he would come back. I am hoping. I've been saying it since they left.
I don't think he wants to leave.
I don't either.
No one's picked him up yet, right?
No.
Right.
I don't even know
the market for running backs is not out there.
No.
And it has nothing to do with Zeke's performance. It's teams aren't paying running backs.
Basically, what they're doing.
Just look at what everyone's gotten this year.
They're signing guys 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year, and you don't give them a whole bunch of money.
If Zeke were to come back here at the economical rate, whatever it is, he could make more in marketing endorsements than.
I agree.
And he doesn't have to move. He doesn't have to pay state income tax.
And you have the familiarity between he and the team, the quarterback, the coach. But he knows the whole system.
There would be a standing ovation in that locker room if he came back.
For this team right now, I can't find a running back in this draft who can get the dirty yards that Zeke Elliott can.
We don't have. Well, right now we don't have it on the team as well. And having said that, how is Tony doing? What's his progress?
Which is the other.
Right. That's the main thing. How is he going to be?
Yeah. Is he the same guy?
Yes.
All right. We need to take a break. Okay.
All right.
Take a break. We got more
Good
Mick
segment.
Shots in a moment.
We paid how much for those lessons?
Shh. She's doing great.
Oh, yeah, totally. Can you pass me a Pepsi Zero Sugar? Great job, honey! Oh, look at that. That's not the end.
No way. Now it's time for the encore.
You know what? You're right. 5 times? Not enough times.
For everyone who traded in rock concerts for their kids' recitals, you've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar. That's what I like.
Nobody protects you from mayhem like Allstate. You hear that? I'm a torrential downpour. Torrential? What's that even mean? It means you can't see out of your windshield. And if you have the wrong car insurance, you might have to make it rain to fix your bumper. So switch to Allstate, save money, and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. In most states, prices vary based on how you buy. Allstate Bar and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
The season is finally here. For months, we've been gearing up to win. Now it's time for the team that performs on any field, United Ag and Turf. With John Deere Zero Turns for mowing, compact tractors for loading, mini excavators for digging, Gator utility vehicles for hauling, implements for grading, hay tools for baling. United Ag and Turf, for winning. The official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com for more.
Back to Mick Shots.
Register now for the 2023 Dallas Cowboy Youth Camps presented by Invisalign. Athletes ages 6 to 16 are invited to learn from the best this summer at AT&T Stadium or Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Football camps are led by former NFL players, and dance camps are taught by current Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Save $25 when you sign up for camp by May 12th. Visit DallasCowboys.com/camps.
All right, 2-minute warning goes to both benches. We got to get out of here because Clarence Hill is going to bring his gold jacket for Bijan Robinson in here, I think, for a show coming up here in just a matter of moments. So a parting shot. I've got, and this is a tease for next week, my big green NFL draft scouting notebook. I've got 2 pages of notes on Mike Solari's draft history offensive lineman. All his teams.
You have too much time
all his
on
teams
your hands.
over the last 25 years.
What are you doing? Are you working at CBS 11?
How many first-round draft picks? And let me tell you, it's amazing what he's done in his career without any draft picks. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I'm saying.
Parting shot. We need a parting shot from both of you.
So, if preliminary non-exclusive sale agreement with the Washington Commanders is worth $6 billion, if Jerry Jones decided to sell the Cowboys, what could he get?
Oh, my God. Well, he's already the richest sports franchise, right?
Well, what did the Broncos sell for 4.5 or something like that?
4.
So in a year's time, it's gone up $1.5 billion.
$1 billion. We're not talking million.
But don't the TV contracts have a lot to do with that as well?
The
increasing of the TV contracts.
Because it's more valuable.
No doubt.
But still, they've got a stadium that is done. They want a new stadium in Washington, D.C.
Mm-hmm. And they want it back in D.C.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they don't want to have to put tarp over the empty seats up in the 3rd or 4th level, whatever that is.
Well, from what I've heard, they said
billion.
They said, you talk about standing ovation. Mm-hmm. When this was sold, there was a standing ovation over the entire city of D.C.
Oh, I imagine.
Oh, and in the NFL office.
Yeah, see, everyone was so afraid to go up against the guy because if they go against him, they might start looking into my business as well. Right? So everybody was on their pins and needles.
What do you think? Cowboys start at like 10 or 12? Billion.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
Well, it's not for sale.
Yeah, and never will be. But that's turning $400,000 into a lot of money, right?
Golly. And that's his punishment.
All right. That does it.
That's mine.
Okay.
Anybody else?
That's good.
I had mine.
All right.
Okay.
And by the way, the 26th pick in the draft, I think I mentioned it last week. We talked about it kind of being a second-round pick. Over 3 years, the 26th pick will make $11.3 million.
Over 3 years?
Yeah. I didn't see what the 4th year was, but the base salary is not that high for a 26th pick.
When is the media? When are y'all salaries going to start increasing?
Yeah, well, that's why the TV contracts. For me, they've taken it away from all the employees.
The rest of ours decrease.
Yeah,
that's
what's
right.
going on?
To the point
into rights to carry the
games. To
games.
the point they don't want you anymore.
That's right. Yeah.
Y'all becoming obsolete. The media is becoming obsolete.
Yeah. All right, that does it for Mick Shots for this week. And, we'll have a special draft preview show next Monday at 11 a.m.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!